Mexico is revolting. Welcome aboard. Now, before anyone says anything, there's a rebellion in Mexico. And Jeremy doesn't even know about this, but this story started yesterday. Let's check this out. I hope this gets resolved before my cruise, but if not, hey, it's going to be what it's going to be. All right, Mexican anti-cartel Gen Z rebellion has reached Claudia Sheinbaum's presidential palace in Mexico City.
Wait. I realize I'm the uncouth. For the record, everybody out there in the YouTube land, I don't watch the news. I used to be one of those news junkies, and I got really grumpy and really upset and found no good in the world, and it really bugged me. And so I get my news through an email service, and I read the major topics, and then I get most of the rest of my news through Seth.
Well, congratulations. Here's the latest news. Number one, just in case you're curious, the president of Mexico is a woman named Claudia Sheinbaum.
I was looking at that. I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's not a Hispanic name. Not a Latin name.
She's Hispanic. There's a lot of Hispanic Jews.
Really? I didn't know that.
There are a lot of Jews that are Hispanic. Absolutely. There's a lot of black people. There's 30,000 black people in LA that are Jewish.
Well, no, I didn't mean it like that. You always expect the name to have some sort of kind of Latin influence on it.
Oh, look, Rodriguez, Gutierrez, Gomez, Garcia, it's all been done. You need a Sheinbaum every once in a while.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I guess there's not my prejudice, but my stereotype.
Your stereotype, yeah.
Going through. I just didn't really, it's like when you hear, a guy I talked to a guy the other day. He was from India, and he'd grown up in India with his family and everything. His name was Smith, and I'm like, it's not Patel. And he's like, no, it's Smith. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I know a person whose last name is Patel.
Well, I know a lot of people named Patel.
This is a very nice person, Jeremy.
Well,
you and your attitudes towards people and their last name.
Well, it's like, I guess maybe because I bring my own problems to it.
No, let me explain something. Your German last name, I'm looking past it, straight from your Jewish friend. Thank you.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, wow. I'm just saying this.
Hey, just because you own all the diamond mines and all the 7-Elevens.
Don't forget the banks.
Some banks.
Most.
Some banks.
The good ones.
Well.
And here we go. Both of us.
This is the stuff we're allowed to put on YouTube.
We have not watched this video.
No, I haven't.
So this was going on yesterday in front of the presidential palace in Mexico City, okay? And this is Generation Z. These are the 20-year-olds who are not happy with the situation. So let's take a look. Now, to anybody who is screaming, that's horrible, compared to what was going on with the BLM issues several years ago, this is a mostly peaceful protest so far. Let's see.
Well, I see tear gas. I don't see much of anything going on other than just standard kind of protest.
I think I did see a few rocks, which you should not throw rocks at police. At least in the United States, we don't do that.
Well, we should. To be fair, like I always used when I taught in the jails, if you make them bring the toys, they want to use the toys. They showed up in riot gear. If you give them a reason, they're going to lob tear gas. They're going to shoot the rubber bullets.
Then again, though, if you don't bring riot gear and there is a riot, you're in trouble. So I disagree with you. You're wrong once again.
But if you don't give them a reason to use it, then they don't have a reason.
And I don't know the whole issue. Apparently, obviously it may be economic, but I've seen a lot of people say that they're sick of the corruption in the government and the cartels in the government. So let's watch the end of this. Yep. And I have a thought I do want to share.
Okay. There's your tear gas. Oh, hold on. I do want to point out the one guy with the gas mask that's just calmly walking away, just like, whatever.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking, though. I'm wondering if this will end up becoming an opening for the United States to go in and just bomb the daylights out of the cartels.
No, absolutely not.
Well, no, hear my thought, and then we're going to hear your no. I'm thinking the U.S., I mean, we're not going to go in a full force invasion, but I could see, some missiles, some rockets being shot off, landing on top of, I don't know any drug cartel lords, El Chapo's palatial estate, taking out El Chapo. I could see some SEAL Team 6 going on, taking out the drug cartel leaders. But what's your absolute no?
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go in and fight that. It was said a long time ago that before, and this is very politically incorrect, and it deals with the fact that even in the United States, you still have a ton of corruption, and you still have to deal with it. And it was said that back in the 60s, when the mob was big in Vegas, that the mob policed their own, that it really kept that kind of Sin City kind of thing, but it kept rule and order in it because the mob took care of it for you. The mob would not tolerate any tomfoolery. Yes, they were doing their own little illegal thing, but they, if you were beating up on your wife and the mob got word of it and you were doing it in their casino, they made sure and took care of it. You didn't need to call the police. You didn't need to do those kind of things. And to be fair, I think the cartels in Mexico ran like that for many, many years. It does not run like that now, but I think for many, many years, talking to people that I have met personally who have grown up in not just Mexico, but also in Honduras, in those areas, they said that the cartel would not tolerate some infractions as long as they got away with their infractions.
All right, so going to this next story, we haven't seen these videos. Here we go. Let's take a look.
A new generation openly defying the state.
Okay, so now you've got rocks flying everywhere.
Oh yeah,
you absolutely do. This is just my personal opinion, but the Mexican citizens deserve so much better. They could be a powerhouse. They could be an economic competitor with the United States, and they should be, except the government is so darn corrupt.
But to be fair, and I've had friends that are from Bulgaria, I've had friends from the Middle East and a bunch of different countries. I've had friends from Latin America, Central America, South America, Canada. We are an oddity in the sense that in America, we still have corruption, but it isn't blatant. We really do believe, and they've proven this time and time again, if you come to certain countries and you set up something that requires us to kind of organize, in America, we will automatically find a line. We will create our own line. In other countries, that is not the case.
Well, you go to other countries. I've heard this said about a lot of other countries, not every single one, like not England and not France, but you go to several countries, Eastern Europe, Central South America. You got your passport and, in there's slipped another $20-$30 that just happened to slip out. Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
You try that with a cop in the United States.
Oh,
hey,
no.
officer, here's $20. Let me go. You're going somewhere. It's called jail.
I will not give you dates and times, but in France, I bribed the officials to get through customs. And in India, I paid tons of people to make things happen. I mean, literal, where $20 makes you somewhat rich at that time. I don't know if changed now, but $20 was like middle class income in India back then.
Oh, absolutely. They're poor as anything.
I paid at least $1,500 in 3 weeks in bribes to make sure that things got done the way they needed done while I was there. And I bribed the airport security the customs in France.
Yeah, that's the way their systems work.
When I hired a guy to tell me who to bribe in India, and he was shocked. We had probably a 2-hour conversation about, what do you mean you don't do this? And I'm like, listen, the closest we've ever come to that is I'll go to a show in Vegas and I'll put $100 in my hand and I'll shake the maitre d's hand there that's setting you down and putting you at the table for the show and the dinner, and I'll make sure he gets me a table up front. I said, they actually kind of got rid of that in the last 20 years because now you have to choose your table ahead of time, so it doesn't matter how much you gave the maitre d'. But that's, yeah, no, we're weird here in the United States. We really are.
Let's keep watching this.
Rebellion loud, raw, and led by Gen Z. Thousands came out to protest in Mexico City this weekend, a capital on the edge, where peaceful protests turned to violent clashes. At the president,
I'm looking at that wall.
Well, I was just going to point out, we got a fence that, I'm not kidding, you can like stick your arm through at our presidential quote unquote palace.
Not anymore. They painted it black. It gets really hot. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, no, but I just mean it's just a wrought iron fence.
Oh, you're talking the White House.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's just a wrought iron fence.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not that tall. It's like what, 10 feet?
Yeah, no, it's
15,
I'm looking
10?
here and I'm like, and I will point out, from an armament standpoint, all the police, all the security in Mexico felt so unsafe that about 10 years ago or so, they actually developed what they call mini shot shells so that they could fit twice as many in their shot.
Oh boy. All right, let's keep watching this. I mean, we're watching this for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Official home. Demonstrators say they're rejecting corruption from the top. 120 people were injured, most of them police officers, as crowds clashed with the authorities. Police have detained another protester, this man shouts, a symptom they feel of a wider problem, and these students have had enough. All we want is justice and zero impunity in this government, Samuel Valdez said. This is one of the most corrupt governments we've ever had, Valentina Ramirez said.
All right, so here's my first thought. What do they want to do? Okay, you get rid of the corruption, great. I totally get that. But if they're wanting to replace it with capitalism so the country can grow, that's a good thing. But if they're wanting a socialist type system, one, they've already got that.
Well,
but two, it's just going to get more corrupt. So what do they want to replace it with? You have to replace it with something.
I was always told, if you have a problem, you have to bring the problem to the table, and you have to also bring a solution. You can't just throw your problems at somebody's feet and expect it to be fixed. You have to put some effort in too. And I'm reminded there's a set of books called the Dresden Files. And without getting too far into it or into the weeds, the guy creates this kind of power vacuum by getting rid of a whole corrupt group of people. And the problem is multiple corrupt people take in and fill in that vacuum.
You know what we really need to fill in, though? Our subscribership. If you're liking what we're doing, reach on down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and Jeremy always bugs me every time we talk. Please make sure that we ask for the like and subscribe. Don't you, Jeremy?
He's forcing me to do this. There's a proverbial to my head. I don't want to ask this, but I have to ask this. Will you please like and subscribe? Please. There are puppies on the line.
If you like us, like and subscribe. Let's go back to this video, though. I'm kind of curious. What do they want to do after? Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you removed the corruption, let's just say, they waved their magic wand and all the cartel disappeared. What's going to fill that hole?
That's the problem. You have a vacuum.
There have been areas of that region, that country, that are being held in check by the cartels. What happens when those things in check are gone?
Well, the problem is the cartels have become so violent. The cartels did what the mob did at first. They said, hey, here's the line. But there have been some tourist towns that have been shut down because cartels have decided to get into open street fights in front of tourists, and that killed it. Mexico, the citizens deserve so much better, and the protesters are right. The corruption has got to go, at least from the levels it's at. The cartels have to go because they are now, harming Mexico and treating the average Mexican citizen horribly. But you do have to fill that power vacuum. And so what is going to replace it? Who's going to replace this leadership?
I don't know.
A sold-out narco government that, instead of defending the people, chooses to protect the corrupt and the cartels. We're going to fight until the end, Clement Montiel said. We can't allow Mexico to become like Venezuela or Cuba, a dictatorship. Mexicans are fed up.
I'm glad he said not like Venezuela, because that gives me hope. Because if it goes socialist, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
If it goes capitalist and starts cleaning up, it will get so much better. It will take time, probably 10, 15 years. But Mexico could and should be an economic powerhouse.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. They have all the resources they need. They just need to do the right thing. At the end of the day.
Clean up.
So, but I don't know. Will it happen? The pessimist in me says, no, it's not going to. It's too much of an opportunity.
But let's get to the important part. Whatever happens, I just spent almost $2,000, a little less than that, on a cruise to Mexico. So let's make sure that we can, that week, those couple of days, we're a little chill out there, okay?
First of all, you're going on a cruise line that is known for partying and drunken debauchery. So, right there, you've already set yourself up for failure. Second of all, you're going to two of the most party cities they have on their west side.
Yeah, I'll be with my family though. So
I'm just saying. So, I'm gonna pick a line from Will Smith in Men in Black. Don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. If you don't go down those dark alleys, you won't have to worry about what's down those dark alleys. Now, I have traveled around and I've done that, and I've done the touristy areas and that. And, at one point they were complaining on and on and on about this one specific city because it's very close to Sinaloa. And it's a tourist destination. They were saying a big deal. Oh, we're not going to go there. We're not going to do that. I never felt unsafe going through the touristy areas. I think, to be honest, when you take the news out of it, the cartels do not want to screw everybody because, let's face it, if everybody showed up with pitchforks, they couldn't stop them. That was why you didn't want angry mobs with pitchforks.
There was a town in Mexico. This is decades ago, and I don't know what the name of the town is, but I remember the story. They had gotten fed up with all the unalivings from the cartels. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to own a cordless hole puncher in Mexico, but the people armed themselves and they just went vigilante and started wiping out the cartel members. And to this day, that's one of the few towns the cartels stay out of.
Yeah.
Because the people, they got their unaliving hole punchers and their proverbial pitchforks and said enough is enough. I really hope Mexico goes through this and improves and something of benefit happens because, like I keep saying, the people of Mexico deserve better.
Yeah. And with that, I have to say, train and cruise out.
We'll see you at the next stop. We'll see. Do that again.
Honk, honk.
See what I have to deal with. And with that, we'll see you at the next stop.